feel like an outsider. I feel like an alien. There's a sadness running through me. Is it me you really see? There's a barrier between us. It's breaking me apart. Are you too superior to hear the beating of my heart?
I think it's great for panel members to get an opportunity to come together, to meet other panel members. I think possibly to be reminded of why we're doing this, that it is actually about best outcomes for children and young people, because there's a lot of anxiety around. But what I picked up was a much different and more positive attitude this year than at the event last year. I think people had not much concrete sense of what the changes were going to look like, who was going to be on area support teams, what they would do. I think we've moved such a long way, and people are now thinking about the future rather than thinking about the way things were or the way things are and what does this mean for me. So really much more of a positive vibe this year, a real sense of things are progressing. Less fear about the future, and that's been really, really positive and really encouraging.
It's a practice recognition and modernisation event primarily aimed at panel members to keep them informed of current practice, to keep them informed of where we're going on our modernisation agenda, and to keep them up to speed with all the work that the Scottish Government's doing in respect of all of those, the development of CHS as an entity to get them more familiar with where that agenda is going, and also to stay in touch with some of the developments at SCRA and the wider world. So it brings together a whole cohort of panel members from across Scotland with that sort of general theme. But I think it also achieves something a bit deeper than that, which is just networking. It's an opportunity for people who don't normally see each other from across the country to have some sort of national feel to things, and to get together and see friends and just exchange experiences. And I suppose the other thing that it brings is that it allows those who are running workshops to inform panel members who perhaps have either forgotten certain aspects or need sharpening up on certain aspects or just modern theory on certain aspects of their work, to be able to go in there and take time out to sit and have a think about their roles away from the kind of old-fashioned word hurly-burly of actually doing it, which can be, as we well know for panel members, a difficult job, one where they have to deal with very difficult, sensitive circumstances. And I think that's a great credit to them that they do that, but we need to give them the support to be able to step back and have a think about how they do that.
You get to meet other folk and get to speak to other folk from different areas, and despite all the efforts, people do things differently, and I'm quite sure if we're back here in a year or 2 years' time, for all the efforts, folk will still do things differently. And you have a chance of workshops. I'm a great fan of workshops, not the plenary sessions where people stand up, the worthies stand up and say fine words and congratulate us all and everybody else. I think workshops are really useful because you can throw around ideas, you can learn things, you can discuss things that might have happened to you in hearings. So I'm a great fan of workshops and just listening to other people from different areas.
They're important to bring together panel members from different areas, because otherwise they only meet and have training with panel members with their own authorities. Whereas coming to a national event like this, they can hear about the practice across the country, and sometimes things are a bit different, and they can compare what they're doing in their area with maybe what other people are doing in different authorities.
It's important that to bring people together so that they can share resources that they use that might be different from one area to another. It's really an opportunity for them to share good practice on how they communicate with children, and to look at ways, tools and resources that could be used to improve the experience of children within the hearing system.
Well, I think the first thing about it is it's great to have so many people all at one venue, from all across the country, and that gives us a real opportunity to hear about the different practice that might be going on, and to hear from panel members the issues that might be affecting them. So it gives us an opportunity to communicate directly with them, because often the communication is through emails or magazines or through the phone. So we get to sit down face to face, and we can kind of come together and collaborate.
I think it's good to get to meet other panel members from other regions. I stay in Argyll and Bute, very remote. It's good to meet up with other panel members. It's good to get the quality of the workshops and the range of workshops at an event like this, where you can choose what you think is particularly pertinent to you, and I think that makes them very valuable.
I think what I got from today anyway is there's a bit of reassurance that people are listening. At the end of the day, we'll have to find out to see exactly what they're listening to, but at the moment in time, it seems that everybody's listening. Again, I'll come back to it. It's how high we ask a panel member, how high they jump. It's a voluntary position. It's a big ask for some people when they've got other commitments like family, children, and a work and a job and all the rest of it. So I'm hoping that what I get out today and tomorrow is a bit more reassurance that people are listening to us.
No, I think it's really good because you do get to meet, I mean, we used to have the summer schools and we were away for the whole weekend, but you do get to meet other people, you see other views, and I think it's very worthwhile, and it'll be great when it's a national because we'll all be thinking the same and doing hopefully the same things, whereas what we do in Fife may be different, but it's good that everybody comes together and pulls all their ideas and think, you know, this is the way forward, or that wasn't so good idea, but I think the interactive are good, and these things when we come away, they are really good to meet people and, you know, and just have a bit of not a laugh, but you can share tragedy and joy together because things you've seen and witnessed and had to do.
I think to make sure that there's sufficient provision in all authorities for young children. I think budgets are tight, and I think that for young children to succeed, at times they need a lot of intervention, and that intervention isn't always available through funding cuts.
I think I would say to the Minister it's extremely important that these types of events happen. Panel members can sometimes feel as if we're alone and we're this unseen force in Scotland. Most volunteers are recognised for the contribution they make. Due to the nature of the type of volunteering we do within the hearing system, we can't really boast about it. So in a way, when we come together, we're able to talk about what we've done. And it's very interesting to share ideas with a panel member who's maybe served for 20 years and for one who's maybe served for 5 or is just brand new. So it's a great way for us to come together to basically share experiences. So I think it's really important that the Minister would allow this sort of thing to continue, so we feel part of a bigger volunteering community.
The final thing for me as a real message to the government and to the Minister and to the CHS is the need to address employers. Mm-hmm. Not all panel members are retired, they have full-time jobs, and it will become increasingly difficult for them to get time. They have to use their own time, and employers need to understand the role they play. There is a leaflet, but there's no governmental push on it to say this is extremely important for our children, so the government need to address that in some way.
I think it's important that the public understand what children's hearings are. It's great that we've got a national convener. That's something that we've been asking for because there's no one really been there to champion panel members or the hearing system. We were having discussions earlier about how many people still think the reason children come to children's hearings is because they've been bad, and that's something we are very keen that we tell our relatives, friends and people we work with that that's simply not the case. So I think it's important that the national convener is able to make the public understand more about the hearing system, how it actually fits into their community, because it is hidden away, which is understandable because it's very sensitive and private issues. But I think we need the national convener to let the people of Scotland know what the children hearing system is about, and obviously to improve the understanding of it.
I have to be very truthful. All the things that have been going on recently, people at ministerial level have been listening. They might not do what panel members want them to do, but the nice thing is they're listening, and I think if they continue to do that, they'll get panel members who are willing to work with them in the changes that are about to come about. And this way is one of the finest ways that you can actually do it, is sit down and listen, especially to what the young people and how they put the message over.
My view is it's a difficult time for change, and it's how we manage that change. And I think my message for the Minister and the national conveners, keep listening, and keep listening to the people and the panel members and bring them along with you and reassure them.
The panel system's went through a lot of changes over the years, especially the last 5 or 6 years. And I think that panel members themselves will soak up a lot of the changes that are up and coming that have been put forward. What I really do hope is that the Scottish Government and the National Convener take on board the fact is that the panel members themselves have to be respected before anybody else. I don't mean before children, obviously, because they come first before everybody else, but there's a lot of a lot of ask of new panel members coming into the new system.
Keep doing what they're doing. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Anything they're doing, as long as it's for the benefit of all the children, that's basically what we're here for. If I can leave a hearing and I've done my best for the children, that's all I can do.
Basically, it's for panel members, it's very much business as usual. You decide where you want to sit on hearings, which hearing centre you want to work in. You will get your papers, hopefully, as usual and efficiently. You will come along to the panel and you will do the role that you signed up to do, and fundamentally that doesn't change. There will be procedural changes in terms of the new Act, and conversion training will pick those up, and panel members will be fully trained in those. So there will be procedural changes, but for panel members, fundamentally, it's business as usual, and you do the role that you signed up to do in terms of making decisions, sound, reasoned decisions in the best interests of children and young people, listening to them at their hearing, trying to get better outcomes for them. I think there needs to be much greater public awareness of the Children's Panel. It's the biggest tribunal in Scotland. It has nearly 3,000 volunteer members, but it's not a tribunal in the strict sense of the word, because panel members are unpaid professionals. They make decisions in front of the child and young person and family, and they write their own reasons. But it's a quasi-judicial tribunal, and panel members, although they're unpaid, have significant powers to intervene in the lives of children and young people. I don't think the public really understands what panel members do. I don't think employers really understand. And I think there is a huge opportunity with one national panel to really raise the awareness of the Children's Panel, the skills that the volunteers get through their training, the qualities, the values they have, that will all translate back into the workplace. And so I think, especially thinking around how do we get into employers and actually say you should support the Children's Panel because you will benefit from the skills that your employees will bring back to the workplace. So I see that as being a huge benefit of moving to a national system, and a huge piece of work that the CHS board and myself will be focusing on in the next year. As a starting point, we will be doing a survey of panel members, employers, getting a sense of how many panel members are working, what's the age ranges, who are the employers who support the panel, and what the issues might be. So that's the starting point, and then really thinking about how do we target employers and talk to them and make them understand what the panel is about and why they should actually support panel members.